Okay, everyone. Hi, welcome to today's session. We're just gonna continue with our ISO 20701 standards. As a matter of fact, we dropped a new playlist, I believe, last week, where we did an overview of the standard from clauses 0 to 10, as well as Annex 8, Annex A. And I said that this is gonna be more fundamental, right? Just to walk you through the concept, what it entails, but we will do our best to delve through or go through, each and every, like the different classes as well as NSA. Still at the fundamental level, a lot of the information we'll have it on our website and hands-on projects for students to do. So, but I think you get more than enough information that can also help you kickstart your cybersecurity or GRC journey, right? So today we will touch just on class 0. We already did an overview, as I said. So we'll do just class 0. Next video, class 1, class 2, class 3, 4. Each and every video, I'm gonna just break it down for us to dissect or digest the ISO 20701 standards. Okay. That being said, I'll just go ahead and share my screen and we will take it from there. First, we talk about class 0, which is introduction, the why behind information security management, right? Intro. So in this, we will break down class 0, the intro to ISO 20701. Think of it as a foundation that explains why protected information system is so important. I've heard the word, they talk of foundation. In as much as it's that measure requirement, but it is the backbone. And that's something that's set our training aside. I've always tell people that you want to be able to understand the fundamentals because these fundamentals literally form the backbone. There's just no way you can skip and think you excel. So it doesn't people get it. But at the end of the day, they find it difficult to be able to connect the dots, right? You should be able to understand when they're talking about risks, like understand the relationship. How is it come about? For you to know that, you know what, it comes all the way from the fact that there's a vulnerability where that vulnerability on its own will never cause harm, but when it's being provoked by a threat, the result of security risks. And each time we're talking of security risks, we know that it is tied to a component or two or more theory of the CIA Triad. And each time we make that statement, then what's the impact level? It is low, moderate, and high. You understand? So you need to be able to have this foundational knowledge. You should be able to understand them before you can even talk of starting a GRC career. And also, it's just like when you have your house, right? You have this nice structure. Believe me or not, we look at it, but at times we don't even care about the foundation. But do you know that the foundation actually is the core? If you have a bad foundation, that house is going to collapse, right? And likewise, I'm laying emphasis that way. We know that yes, it's a major requirement, but it definitely set the standards for us to understand and be able to protect our information system thereof. Okay. But what is clause 0? It explains purpose of ISO 27001. It set the stage. No requirements applies to any type of organization. You see, it doesn't matter the organization size. It's telling you that it doesn't matter where you are, geographic location, it doesn't matter your size, in as much as it's very, very mandatory for all European or companies that conduct business in Europe or collect a house, a European citizen data. But it doesn't matter your geographic location, it doesn't matter your size. You can be an enterprise organization over 5,000. You can be one for just one or two or three. Still, this actually set the stage and eventually tells you what you need to do so as to better protect information asset. And thinking of it as that introduction, tell me, will you just get a book and jump into that book without going through the intro? Do you have to go through the intro? Do you have to glance through, through the table of contents to at least have a background knowledge of what is expected? Because that's me. I will not just get a book and just go boom, I'm reading, right? And likewise, I spoke with someone today. He was asking me, do you all have curriculums? I'm like, yes, on website, the curriculums are there. So likewise, I can't just tell you, just come to GRC and this is it, right? So you have to go through this curriculum to be able to understand. And likewise, as we said that, it set the stage, in as much as they are not mandatory requirements, it applies to organization of all sides. So this again is like the foundation, to your house, right? Or for your house. But you guys know that I think I already explained briefly about risks directly proportional to CIA Triad. And if you are new to this particular playlist, go to the playlist where it says start GRC by minute or with minute or something like that. Go to that playlist and start all the way from the bottom. You need to start understanding governance, risks, compliance, and all the different videos. Because again, as I've said, those videos were carefully curated by my humble self, so it builds from each other. So you need to understand A, understand B, understand D, and you find your way out. And likewise, we talk of, the core regulatory security objective. We talk about confidentiality to make sure that data is available only to authorized user, right? Non-disclosure to unauthorized user. And we'll talk of integrity that makes sure that information is always correct. It has not been tampered with or been modified. And talking about availability, you want to talk and make mention of the fact that data is available at any given point in time. Talking about availability, as a matter of fact, I was just reading today about some of the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. I was shocked that different sectors, education, health, energy, they were hit big time. I was actually reading a couple of articles on, the Tulane University where they temporarily, have to come to Houston, where you have over 13,000 staff, students, and faculty members that were even displayed across US, as a result of the fact that, something lacking with their business continuity. So this is something that you guys can also go there, do research and see how important availability is. Someone maybe asked me a question, like if you work for a healthcare organization, what do you think that which of this component is really important? And I was like, actually, it was an interview. I was like, they are all important. So I can't give preference of any over the other. And it will depend on the type of impact. It will depend on how severe that impact is. I say, for example, let's just keep it at a basic level. You have a CNA that who have access to medication aid, be able to administer medications, something that they are not allowed to, but because of the fact that they do not have like good access control, that CNA, let's just say, God forbid, have medication, administer the wrong medication to a patient, of which that patient is allergic to that medication, and God forbid, that patient dies. Do you see how serious confidentiality can be? That's very serious. I said, let's go to integrity. Still, the CNA still go there. Instead of administering, they do not administer, they change and modify medication. Just modify different medications. Still, it can still lead to a fatal issue, that case. And then talk about availability. I said, let's take a typical example of the ransomware. Doubts, especially in the US, hospitals, they depend so much on technologies. With technologies, they cannot function, right? Everything's all about technologies. Then think of a situation where everything is down. What happened? It's literally gone, right? So the guy was like, wow, that makes sense. So do you see when these standards and laws are making mandatory for organization to be able to meet the security objectives, it means a lot, right? And that's why we say that still it also builds on this core security objectives. That's the concept of CIA Triad. Another key aspect is the fact that it also based on risk-based approach. What does that mean? First, you want to be able to identify your risks. How do you identify risks? You first of all start by identifying, but understanding your data type. What kind of data do I have? From there, what happened? Do you think of developing policy and subsequently SOP, security operational procedures? Right? And in the course of you doing that, you have to also categorize your information. Once you have that data type, categorize your information type, being able to come up with the impact level, then you have to go as far as developing these SOPs. And by you developing those SOPs, it means that you are applying controls in a nutshell. When you are applying those controls, you are taking proactive measure which lead to continuous improvement. Because if you have stringent controls that are functional, they are operational, they are effective over a period of time, then you are actually applying a risk-based approach. So you are managing your risks, you are identifying your risks, you are implementing security controls, you are monitoring, assessing them, and making sure everything works well. And likewise, the class zero actually set the standard again. It tells you that this standard literally follow a risk-based approach. And this is just exactly what we've covered. Okay. But why is it important? First, it protects valuable assets. It builds customer and partner trust, ensure compliance with laws. GDPR, for example, keeps business running during crisis. Because again, if you all are so familiar with the NIST 853, let's take a switch. Let's switch gear to ISO 27001. And these are all things that we are pretty much familiar or we know, right? We familiarize ourselves with. And again, as I said, if you are new, if you have just started taking or started watching this playlist, you want to go to the playlist where, it will give you all the foundational knowledge you so need to kickstart your GLC career. If you still cannot locate that playlist, don't you're welcome to just send a DM, get my number, send me a message on WhatsApp. I will definitely get back to you. Okay. And this literally covers risk-based approach. It covers all what we have been discussing, right? And likewise, talking in a real world environment, for example, that's why it doesn't matter what organization, it doesn't matter the size of that organization, it doesn't matter the geographic location. So this sets again the base, right? It tells you it doesn't matter depending on the kind of records you or data you guys collect, then you need to make sure that CIA Triad is being achieved or maintained. For example, in a hospital setting, you need to make sure that patient records are being protected, okay, from unauthorized disclosure. In a bank, financial sector, want to make sure that transactions are accurate. Make sure they are not being modified, they are not being tampered with. While for e-commerce website, you want to make sure, like Amazon, for example, we want to make sure that they are available online at any given point in time. Think of a situation that you want to go to Amazon website, you are not able to shop. What becomes? Now you understand. A lot of us, we are so comfortable shopping direct from Amazon, because it's easy. You just do it, and before you realize, the same day or the next day you receive your delivery or your packet. So likewise, same principle applies here. So, but what's the takeaway of this particular clause? Clause 0 doesn't give us rules. It gives us the why. Okay, it introduces the CIA Triad, risk-based thinking, and applies to all organizations. It's about protecting information, building trust, and ensuring resilience. Everything else in ISO 27001 builds on this foundation. Everything. Likewise, think of the foundation, in your house, everything actually builds based on the fact that you have a very strong foundation. So I hope you guys were able to benefit, take one or two things from this particular class. I'll see you guys in the next video where I will go through class 1, and I'm trying to keep it very short. That way we can follow the series, right? So I'll go through class 1 and then class 1. From there we'll go to 2, we'll go to 3, and then we'll start, digesting and going to 4. Otherwise, do not forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.